Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today, and welcome back to today's bonus upload. I've got a bonus upload that I am very excited to share with you all. It's got some very terrifying encounters. It also has probably one of the most captivating photos and video evidence of Dogman. Once again, I will never ever say this is 100% video or photo of Dogman. I will just say this is what it is claimed to be, and you guys decide. But it is very interesting. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. Before we get into it, though, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. Merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss any of the informative uploads I put out, click that bell icon. And finally, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go, and they do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's bonus, shall we? So today's upload bonus is going to have probably some of the, possibly the clearest photo and video evidence of Dogman. Once again, I will never tell you 100% that it is legit or if it's a hoax. I will let you know what I feel, and I will tell you straight across the board right now that I'm probably on the fence at about 90% that this is evidence of Dogman existence. Before we get into that, though, let's get into a encounter. My mother is certain that there is some kind of monster that resembles a werewolf in Camp Douglas, Fort McCoy region of Wisconsin. When the decade of the 90s came to a close, Mom and her boyfriend were traveling between Toma and Sparta on the frontage road that ran parallel to the highway. It was night in autumn. The moon was in full view. I refer to it as frontage road, but due to the presence of trees, it is not often visible from the adjacent freeway. They see what they believe is a very enormous man emerge from the forest on all fours and make a successful jump over a chain link fence and barbed wire fence that surrounds the military installation. This walled off area that is surrounded by a fence and has a sign indicating what it is for and whose army base it is, a part of, has a stone entry wall. The monster jumps over this chain-link barbed wire fence and vanishes into the surrounding woods. It had similar ears to that of a human, but were more dog-like. They didn't stop, but when they see whatever it was, they stress out and ask the other passengers whether they had seen it as well. 5 years later, my dad's cousin, who had never met my mom, due to the fact the family is fractured, was telling me about a time he and his girlfriend had been on frontage road while traveling out to look at a house they were interested in purchasing. It was becoming dark during winter. They go quite near this stone entryway, and there is something perched over it. They halt down and glance at it before continuing. They claimed that it had to be a werewolf since it was perched on its haunches on the stone wall and was staring directly at them. It seems to be considering a chase, as seen by the way its ears move back in the manner similar to that of a dog. His wife shouts, but he ignores her and continues driving. They continued on their way, never detouring to look at the home on the way back to the highway. What really gets under my skin is that these two sightings took place years apart, and a total of at least 6 adults had witnessed them. Some of them, in my opinion, would absolutely adore being able to state that they had witnessed anything similar to this, but not all of them are fanatical. In spite of this, when I needed to drive to Fort McCoy to obtain my CAC, and the group of us from my work got lost en route in the forested region, I couldn't help but to peek in the trees just in case I spotted it there. Now there's another strange kind of experience that happened in those same set of woods. Check this out. I'd like to share my experience while training with my National Guard unit at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. I moved from enlisted to officer via ROTC and was attached to a unit in my prospective MOS while in the program. I didn't really want to give specifics on my service as the community is small enough to identify me to the peers. In 2014, my platoon decided to conduct a nighttime land navigation at Fort McCoy from 2030 to 0030. While the Army is typically all about buddy pairs, land navigation is one of the few cases we can do solo. Having done night land navigation plenty before, I stepped off alone, compass, map, and headlamp in hand. For those of you who don't know, land navigation involves seeking out markers on a course by plotting their coordinates on the map and moving there via terrain reference and compass. At night, this is typically done without light as much as possible. When light is used, it is red. This minimizes damage to the night vision. These methods also keep you concealed in the tactical environment when employed with noise discipline. I bring this up, so you can understand a few things about my circumstance. I was moving through the woods while making a token effort to be hard to spot or hear. The woodland I was in was part of a larger forest system, but it was frequently traveled. That night we had some 15 soldiers clomping about. My illumination was a toggleable headlamp, but it was toggled to be red when turned on. To cycle to white, I'd have to turn it on or turn it off twice. The cycle was off, solid white, off, solid white, off, solid red, off, flashing red, off, solid white. My assigned points would take me to the other side of the course and back, a good hour and a half of walking as the crow flies. They're more or less in a straight line, so I estimate 2.5 hours out and back. I know if I come back too early, I may be given another set of points, so I resolve to walk out, take a break for an hour, then mosey back in. The first half goes as planned. I get my points without much trouble and wind up sitting on a hillside at around 10 p.m. It's cloudy, but the moon is full. I can see well, and the sky is not clear. Occasionally, I see a red light bobbing in the distance below me. Once a pair of platoon members passed down the hill from me, using a white light to try and read their map. I startled them when I asked if they needed any help. At the end of my break, there were no more motion in my area. Most of the people had likely already traveled back, or they were lost. I'm feeling pretty good at this point, having sat in the same spot, eating a stale Skittles for a good long time. Some owls hoot, some trees sway. All is well. I trot down the hill and step into the brush. I'm in a clearing where the prairie intersects forest. There's some dead trees in the area. Out of them is split halfway up. At about 15 feet, I can make out a head and shoulder silhouette against the clouds, backlit by the moon. I walk up to ask how they got up there and if they were stuck, thinking it was a soldier buddy, when the shadow twitches and I get the impression that it's turning towards me. I stand there looking at it, and it's maybe looking at me. The situation feels off, but I am not going to let my battle buddy punk me. I ask if they need any help. Mid-sentence, the moonlight comes back. It's clear the thing on the tall stump is not a soldier. This moonlight glimpse is the best look I got at it. It looked like a stretched out, bald person, its long arms clutching the stump. I can't make out a face, but it looks pinched. By that I mean I couldn't see its eyes or mouth, like they were small, and in the middle of its head, it was skinny, like it hadn't eaten. It was tall and obviously strong to have made such a vertical climb. It was definitely facing me. It probably was the whole time I was sitting in that clearing. Maybe since I came down the hill. Maybe. My speech was startling. I swear loudly. It rapidly scurries down the trunk. I flick my red light and catch it on all fours moving toward the brush line in the direction I'm heading. Automatically, I'm toggling the lamp to be a white light. That means it goes off, then flashes red. In the flash, I see the thing at the wood line, but I think it's flipped around and is backing in, probably to keep its eyes on me. In a few seconds it takes for me to get my white light on. It's gone. I scan the tree line, which is silent. When it moved, there was scraping noise, plus the woodland brush is dense. If it was still running, I'd hear it. I reason that it must have stopped. It must still be watching me. I fumble out my knife and keep looking around in the woods in front of me. After ages, I start inching along in a perpendicular path to my initial route of travel and angle that will link me up with a hardball roll that runs up and down the side of the course. Once on the road, I can take it back to where my platoon is parked. My major problem is that the road is 10 minutes of walking away from my current position, mostly wooded. That can't be helped. I have to get out of the clearing first. My progress on the front is painfully slow. I'm fighting my natural urge to freeze in place like a deer in the headlights. After sidestepping a good 10 meters, I hear corresponding rustling and think I see movement. It's enough to get me to turn and bolt right into a downed log, which trips me up. I scramble up to my feet and look back to the woodland where there was no audible commotion. I glimpse a leg and ass moving around in the woods. At that point, I'm done with this whole situation, but don't want to run again. I start power walking to the road, turning to look as much as I can while seeing what this thing is doing. Over the movement in my own kit, I can hear its movement alongside of me. It's paralleling me. As I near the road at the end of the clearing, I think I hear it picking up its pace to cut me off. I made a decision to sprint. When I entered the woods, my path is clear, but I think I can hear it in my periphery. I don't stop. I run as hard as I can and hit paved road. I bite it hard a few times along the way, but recover with frantic speed I cannot consciously replicate. Once on the road, I run perpendicular to the forest until I don't think I hear it anymore. I'm winded from my breakout run. From the middle of the road, I have a good visibility and decide to walk and catch my breath. It's quiet for a while, then I hear a branch move about 30 feet in the air from the woods I had just fled. I snap my gaze up and see a pale, ovular face, half in the shadows, peeking at me from around the trunk, and I take off again. After way too long, I made it back to the headlights of our LMTVS. It's 12:15. What happened, cadet? Did you get lost? You're covered in mud. Did you fall down? Why are you out of breath? I got lost on my way back, sir. I know better than to claim that I had seen a monster. Already my reaction had left me feeling foolish. In the years since drilling at FMC, I have never experienced anything like that again. McCoy does not have a history of disappearances, as far as I know. Neither do the two closest towns, Sparta and Toma. I've done night land navigations alone a few times since without any issue. This is less of from courage and more from me deciding that I must have misinterpreted the situation. Maybe the world is weirder than I just thought. Huh. Yeah, maybe. That's crazy, though, because you got two kind of Dogman encounters in the same, like, on the base. Two Dogman encounters on the base. And then you have what we call a crawler on the base. And I'm wondering if possibly just kicking it out there, if that crawler is or came from some kind of underground lab connected to that base and is doing its own training op at night per military. I don't know. Crazy, crazy. All right, guys. Here is that video footage and photographic footage that I talked about at the beginning. I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, so that's the video evidence. And, you can see that it is running hunched. It's definitely not walking quadruped. You just have to keep watching it. I've watched it about 40 times now. And it's supposedly out of California. And back in like 2012, somewhere around there. It's an older video. Just starting to emerge on the internet again. It really wasn't on the internet for a long time. It was associated with a supposed wolf attack in California / wolf attack in California. I looked into the attack and I couldn't find the boy's name or the family's name in California, but this video clip and photographic evidence is pretty compelling. In the video, you can see it. Then we break it down a little bit and you can see its face kind of in that yellowish circle. And then, of course, right now as I speak, here is the photo of it. Once again, I'm not telling you this is 100% real, because I'd never do that. I will tell you that I do feel that this may possibly be, if it is real, the best and most clearest photographic and video evidence of a Dogman. You guys decide. Let's get into another encounter. And tonight's final two encounters. My daughter and I were driving home in rural Michigan's Upper Peninsula during the summer of 2018. We were almost home when we saw this strange black being that was running faster than any animal I'd ever seen. At first she said, "What is that?" Then she said, "It looks like a werewolf." Then I paused and said, "That may be a Dogman." It was running on all fours and had a long body that was very muscular. The face looked like that of a wolf in a way, but also something like a human. It's hard to put in words. I kept my eyes on it the whole time. Its body seemed to be running in like glitches. It ran so fast, but it was looking in our direction. My daughter was so freaked out by it, I was kind of amazed and kept saying, "That's either a werewolf or a Dogman." I could see its teeth for a second, which were that of a wolf's, but the face was half human, half animal. It ran so amazingly fast, faster than I'd seen anything ever run. The darkness of its color was also kind of strange because it was such a deep black. Once it was past us, it had disappeared. I never took my eyes off of it once. It just vanished. That's even harder to put into words what we saw and how it happened, but I'm telling you the truth. I'm 61 years old. My daughter is 41. I'm not telling this for entertainment. I'm telling it because it's the truth. It wasn't the size of a dog because of the strange length of its body being so long compared to a normal dog. The face was bizarre, being half human, half wolf. I go by this area daily, and often when I'm with my daughter, I'll ask her if she believes in what we saw. She didn't even like talking about it amongst just ourselves because she is still so freaked out about it. And there was no one who can actually say for certain, "Yeah, that's what you saw." My first thought was werewolf, but I've read stories from other folks from Michigan who have had these strange experiences with Dogman. So I'll never know 100% what we did see. But I do know that there was something very strange and not normal. The reason I didn't have the fear probably was because I was in my car. It was still pretty light out, and it ran across the road in front of us. Although I do have to say later on, I hope that thing didn't follow us. I think about this experience daily. The way it ran was so bizarre. It happened so fast, though. I wish I could have captured a photo. My daughter was so spooked out about it. She still gets shaken talking about it. I believe there are a lot of things out there that we just don't know about or even understand yet. And tonight's final Dogman encounter. I'm sure most people laugh when they hear stories like these, but I just can't. I was face to face with what I can only describe as a werewolf in 1987 in southern Illinois. I was only 10, but I know that big dogs look like and actually owned a huge St. Bernard at the time, and this thing dwarfed him. I was walking alone down a road that parallels some thick woods when I heard some movement in the brush. I stopped and looked toward the noise, and to my absolute horror, a huge black wolf-looking head came out of the brush and was staring directly at me. I don't know if it was on 2 legs or 4, but it was taller than I was. I was only 10, so what, 4.5 feet, maybe 5? Suddenly, it became bursting out of the woods toward me, and I thought I was dead. I don't know what happened at that point, but it obviously didn't grab me. All I can remember from that part is that it was in my face and then it wasn't. My mom remembers seeing me running home with a look of terror. So she met me outside. She knew something bad had happened, but didn't know what it was. She says I was shaking uncontrollably, and I had wet myself, and I kept saying, "A werewolf just tried to take me." She says that she doesn't know what I encountered, but I was a tough kid who always was outside and was not prone to make up stories. She says the next day I brought a book home from the school library, Meet the Werewolf, and became obsessed with anything werewolf related. I wouldn't go outside for a long time after that, and even when other kids were outside, we moved the next year to the city, 100 miles away. I got back to normal again. I moved back to the same rural town when I was 18, and I've lived here ever since. It's a small town on Rand Lake in Jefferson County, Illinois. I know what I saw, and I'll never forget its face, as it wasn't a dog. I go into the woods quite a bit alone, and sometimes I get a bit worried, but I also always carry a firearm just in case. Be safe when alone in the rural areas because these dogmans are real. My late wife had a daytime encounter with what she called a 7-foot-tall black werewolf standing on 2 legs in 2001, just about 5 miles from where I had my encounter. The only difference is she was driving and had the relative safety of being in a car. It proved to me that they do exist and are in our area, so at least I know to be careful when in the woods instead of being like everyone else who doesn't have a clue until they're face to face with one. It's scary to know they are real, but I think it's better to be aware of them so I know to take precautions when in the woods. And I tell anyone who will listen despite being laughed at. But those who know me best know that I'm not crazy, and that I do not make stories up and believe me. I think telling them will keep them out of harm's way, or at least make them be a little more cautious about being in the woods alone. Also, my uncle had a Bigfoot encounter in 1981 while in the outskirts of the Shawnee National Forest. He never went back and is afraid to be outside after dark if there are any woods around. He's 60 years old now and is still scared of the things that don't exist, in quotations. He's a huge guy himself, but is terrified of seeing that creature again. The funny thing is that he actually laughed at me when I told him about seeing that werewolf-looking creature. That almost got me. I think that he thought I was joking at first, but I told him, just like a Bigfoot you imagined, and he changed his tune. So he said it was probably a Bigfoot that I saw, but it was most certainly not. It was a giant black wolf that was taller than me, not a gorilla-looking creature. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. That photo and that video evidence is pretty compelling to me. Once again, I will never say, hey, it's real, believe it. It's up to you on what you want to believe is real or not. To me, like I said, I'm about 90%. To me, that looks more authentic than any AI video, of this thing kind of weaving in and out and, all jittery and juddery going through woods and, people actually, I don't know. This thing is moving. It's moving fluidly like a creature would. Unlike, an AI creation that is almost cartoonish in its movement. But once again, people, we just want to have some sort of physical proof. So sometimes we'll believe anything, especially those who have had an encounter. We really just want that physical proof, I really do. I know I do. I would love to get a photographic evidence or video evidence of that creature that I saw and how it looked, because even though it had a snout, it was so oddly shaped and just so strange looking. It didn't resemble the atypical Arnold Schwarzenegger werewolf. This was real, man. This was in my face, not in my face technically, but. And then to ask my friend years later about what he saw running on 4 legs behind us was even scarier. Anyway, My neighbor's playing the drums, so it's probably picking up on the mic. I will end today's bonus with that. We've got a second half coming up in a little while, a couple hours, and then we've got the live stream, Saturday night live stream. Saturday Nightmares with the Dogman fam. All right, guys, stay safe, happy, and healthy, and God bless.